has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everyone, happy Thursday night. It is a Thursday night, right? We are here. It's mid-November. Hard to believe. Seems like November just hit. Seems like the season just ended. Here we are. We did carry on a little bit here into November as far as doing our final Behind the Screams live. I know a lot of you guys tuned in here this past Sunday night, and you joined in. You watched the season finale with us. Appreciate that. I had my business partner, good friend Dr. Christy Sumner on. So we had a great time. If you missed that, you can go back and watch it. It was about an hour and a half long. We did dissect the season finale there. And like I said, great time. We're going to be uploading the 2-hour season finale. The first half of it was on Facebook Live. Second half was on YouTube. I've been getting over the crud, guys. So I'm trying to kind of get back into the swing of the things. I was off work for just a little bit and trying to recover. So I'm trying to get those videos kind of narrowed down and get them closed captioned and get them set up. So we'll have those hopefully here by the end of the week. We'll have those on to YouTube. And so if you folks on YouTube missed the first hour of the Facebook Live, you missed the door slam and you missed the really cool things that happened during that first hour. Same for the folks on Facebook. If you missed that second hour, you missed some really cool things going down on the second floor and in the drunk tank area. So we'll get all of that up there by the end of the week, and we'll have all of season 5, and it'll be a wrap. So I'm so excited to be back in the garage and to be having guests on again. We've got some amazing guests lined up. I've been doing booking for here in November all the way through February. We're getting all of that worked out. But I want to take a few minutes and say hello to the folks over here in the chat room. We've got David Anderson. Thank you so much for always tuning in with us. And thank you for your thoughts and prayers. Like I said, I've been a little bit ill and under the weather, but we're all good here, getting through it. Got my herbal tea, got my incense burning in the back. Everything's going good. Nancy Weems, thank you so much for for tuning in here tonight and always being on. And then, of course, Mr. Jim Cody. Yes, tonight we definitely have, if you guys like zombies like I do, love special effects, makeup, acting, movies, horror movies, just movies in general, you're going to really enjoy my guest tonight. And then we have East Coast Haunters. Thank you so much. Definitely getting to feeling better, getting back on things. And Miss Janet Alms. Again, thank you guys so much. If you have a question for myself or tonight's guest, please feel free to put those over there in the comments. And if you don't mind, put them in all caps just so I don't miss you as we're going through here. Just to cover just a little bit of business before we get to tonight's guest. We just got the events for the remainder of the year put up on the historic Scott County Jail website. We've got flashlight tours. We've got our special Christmas ghost walks. We're reviving the tradition of telling ghost stories at Christmas at the historic Scott County Jail in Huntsville, Tennessee. So, the town has completely decorated the square with lights. So on these ghost walks, you'll be able to come to the jail. You'll get a 2-hour tour. You'll get a cup of hot chocolate. You'll get a flashlight, and you'll get to walk around with myself and my business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner of Soul Sisters Paranormal. We're going to be walking around the square in the lights, sharing history and stories from Huntsville, Tennessee for the first 45 minutes. And then it will end with a flashlight tour of the jail where we will show you some of the coolest paranormal captures that's been captured at the jail since we opened a year ago. And then we're also going to be sharing some of the amazing history. So I think we've got 6 of those dates every Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, every Saturday and Sunday during the month of December. Those are going to start next weekend at on Thanksgiving weekend. So so it'll, I think it's Friday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night after Thanksgiving. So come spend Black Friday at the jail. We are going to be open. So if you're in the area and looking for something to do, you can come visit our true crime museum, hang out with us, and then take an after dark tour. My business partner is on here, Mr. Doctor or Mrs. Dr. Christy Sumner. I can't talk tonight. So yes, it is going to be a lot of fun. So those dates are on the event section of www.historicscottcojail.com. And Dr. Sumner, if you don't mind throwing that web address up there, I'll pull it up on the screen. So those are under the event section. We also have an escape room at the jail. So bring your family, your kids, your 4 closest friends, and come and try to escape from our jail cell. So, so yeah, and East Coast Haunters, absolutely, we would love for you to be able to share the event. So I'll get with you with some links here after the show here. So, and then yes, historicscottcojail.com. That has all that information on there. Also, one last little thing, we've got the new Ghost Biker hoodies. These are in the charcoal gray. And so we do have all of those up on the website. We've got the black ones on the website. We've got the gray ones on the website. Those just came in. And we've got hats. We've got all kinds of cool stuff if you're looking for some type of Ghost Biker merchandise for Christmas. Also some of my drawings, that sort of thing. All that is up on the website. So, and that is under ghostbikerexplorations.com, as well as all of the past episodes from this season and all the past 4 seasons. So you can catch up on there. So anyways, don't want to waste any time because tonight's guest, she is awesome. We ended up meeting at the Deep South Paracon that was held by Mr. Stan Fikes, who is here in the chat room. Back in September, we did end up meeting there. At that, had a connection, ended up talking, and like I said, this woman is awesome. So if you like The Walking Dead, if you like zombies, then you're gonna enjoy this. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of let her introduce herself, Miss Sonya Thompson, Miss Actress and Model. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty daggum good. Like, I'm Sonya Thompson from The Walking Dead. This is me. I was season 1, season 2 on The Walking Dead, and I was also a promotional model for the show, which has landed me on all sorts of stuff worldwide. I'm one of the most seen walkers, zombies in the whole wide world for promotion of The Walking Dead.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I know we've got a lot of people, since I said you were going to be on the show, I had a lot of people reach out, several people who had done walkers on past seasons, several people who said they've seen your face once I put that out there. So, so yeah, how did you get into this unique career that you have?
Well, I've kind of been an entertainer all my life. When I was a child, I would put on like, little shows for my family, like singing and dancing and little plays and stuff. And then in high school, I was in chorus and did plays at church, and I was in the choir at church. I mean, I've always enjoyed being on stage. I was in a gospel music group in my 20s. And I also I went to professional clown school in my 20s, so I was familiar with special effects makeup. And then about 06, 07, I ended up on a movie set. And that's kind of where everything kind of began. I took my daughter there. She was in high school, and she was in musicals and plays. And a friend of mine had been on a movie set all night. And so we did that. And then a few more years went by. I got on some other movies. I started getting lines and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I did a zombie movie called Night of the Jackals. And there was more than just zombies. There was vampires and stuff in it. And it was just a little independent movie filmed in Atlanta. And had a really good time, getting like all bloodied up. And it was just, it was cool. I had fun. So I told the casting company that I've been working with, if you get any zombie movies or something, I'm interested. And that next year, then I get an audition for Zombieland.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, oh my God, I called my daughter. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I've been watching zombie movies. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. And she gave me some great tips and stuff. And so I went to this audition, and there was all these dancers there, and they just assumed I was a professional dancer. And I just ran with it. No,
I've seen your moves. I saw your moves there in Alabama.
well, I was a break dancer back in high school. I would, lock and pop and stuff, and even spun on the floor back in the day, but I can't do that no more. But so I went in there with my best dance moves and wrapping my arm around my head and doing these growls and, Well, the director was very impressed with me, and I landed the role of the lunchroom lady zombie, and it was supposed to be reoccurring. But unfortunately, my scene was deleted from the theatrical release, but it did make it to the DVD. Well, I get a phone call from the casting agent before, we started filming and stuff. And he's like, I need you to come in for some training. And so I get there, and I'm like, there's nobody there. I guess I was the first to arrive. And I'm like, geez, am I in the right place, And then 3 more people showed up, and there was only like 4 of us, that plus the instructor that owns Netherworld and the director, and they were creating a Zombieland training video.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted me to be a part of it because the director, Ruben Fisher, was very impressed with me. And so I was like, oh, awesome. So, did this thing, and part of it made it to the DVD, but every zombie actor in Zombieland had to watch that training video to know how to move in the movie. So that was pretty freaking cool. And so that parts of that made it to the behind the scenes on the DVD. It's called In Search of Zombieland. You skip over to fast forward to rule number 3. You see me like in a mirror going, making faces. And so then after they show those little clips of that, they're talking about things that they based, diseases and illnesses that they based their zombies on. Well, when they show my picture, which is really bloody, they mention mad cow disease and syphilis in one sentence. So that has been my ongoing thing. I like to always tell that story because I don't know anybody else that can say that they've been compared to those 2 things in one sentence at one time, but me.
When I hear Sonya Thompson, I would not think syphilis and mad cow disease.
I know, right? But if you saw that picture, you'd be like, oh yeah, maybe a little bit there, but so that was kind of cool, and I really enjoyed working with Ruben Fisher on that. Everybody I worked with on Zombieland was just fantastic. I did not get to meet Woody, but I did run into Abigail. She's walking her dog after I got off set. I was going back to the trailer to the makeup trailer first to get my makeup taken off, and then to my trailer. I had a little star on the door. It was kind of cool to get changed back into my clothes and stuff, but my regular street clothes. And Abigail was walking her little dog, and this is another story I like to tell because I'm a huge dog lover, which I love animals in general, but dogs, I'm a dog person. And there's this little puppy, and I'm like, hello, puppy, you're so cute. And I've got blood all over me, and I've got zombie, my teeth are painted and everything else. And I'm just like, hey, you're such a cute little doggy. And I'm like, hi, how are you doing? I'm talking to Abigail. She's never going to remember me, and I walk off, and I'm thinking that I'm like, well, she's not going to ever recognize me again, and the dog, oh my God, the dog could have bit me, but that just proves that dogs look at what's on the inside, not what's on the outside.
That's right.
So,
I love that.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And so that was a great experience. And I really enjoyed working on Zombieland. And then the next year, I get a email from the casting agent, and they're like, hey, you've been chosen to be a zombie on this TV show. And I didn't know what The Walking Dead was. I had no idea. And some of my friends and I, because I signed a non-disclosure, so I couldn't say anything. But some of my friends that were working on set with me that were zombies, we found out it was based on a graphic novel, on a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So we started kind of reading through that to kind of get a better idea as to what they were expecting from us. And so that was pretty cool. And then they pulled me, well, they did like, it was like another zombie training type stuff. They pulled us into zombie school. And in zombie school, it was like one huge audition because they would have us do little, like things like sitting in a chair and getting up out of the chair and going through stuff, bouncing off walls, doing things. And this one particular time, they had 4 of us sit in a chair, and they wanted us to get up. Well, everybody else stood up, and then they did their zombie. Me, I kind of fell out of the chair, and then, and that's the reason I ended up in the back seat of a car in episode 4 in season 1.
Okay, I think we've got that picture here. Is that?
Yep, that's it right there. And
Nice.
Glen, he goes downtown to get the bag of guns out of the tank, and I'm resting in the back seat of a gray car, and he stops off at that car. And when he does, that's when it alerts me, and I'm, and I go out to chase after him and get him. I was in other episodes, season 1 as well, like on top of the tank. I chased the horse. I was trying to get somebody, get Rick up underneath the tank. I took a body shot in the alley in episode 2. I was at the CDC. So I did like 5 of the 6 episodes of The Walking Dead season 1 and 4 episodes season 2. But season 1, I was pretty much the same zombie just about the whole entire season. They just made me look more decrepit as the
rotten.
Yeah, it's like things were more sunk in, things like that. But I had a green sweater and dress on most of the time for it, except for like, I think, I don't know that I had that same outfit on the very last episode, but that was pretty cool. But out of the zombie school, they only chose 20 hero zombies, and those were the zombies that got to be right up front with, in main scenes and stuff like that, with the main actors. And so they lined it up where you had your hero zombies, your featured extras, your extras, and then your deep background extras. So that was the layers of zombies in each take. And so that's how, and then they just bring us all together. So that was pretty cool. But then out of those 20 people, they chose, I think it was 8 or 9 of us to be models, promo models for, posters and, San Diego Comic-Con, things like that. And so I was one of those. And there was only 4 of us chosen to be with the main cast in comic book issue 75. And this picture behind me, that's what was used. And
I'm ready to pull that up. If you'll keep talking, I think you sent that to me. I'm gonna pull that up. So
yeah, and so Larry Mainland, who has recently passed 4 months ago, he had a heart attack. Unfortunately, I miss him dearly. He was a brother. He was just like a brother to me. I refer to him as my zombie husband. That's what his wife started calling me. I'm his zombie wife. So I even had permission to like slap him around when she wasn't around, to keep him in line. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, it was me and him and Melissa Cowan and Alicia Grun, and we were the 4 that were chosen to be in the comic book with the main cast. So It was pretty cool. But I would say that I'm more known for those promotional model photos than I am for probably what I did on the show. It's just been incredible and very surreal to me. How many magazines I've been on, how many DVDs how many T-shirts I'm on. I'm even on this. I'm right here on this right here, on this sweatshirt, and it's just, I've been on so much stuff. I was on all the Best Buy DVD. My daughter, when she was living in Colorado, she was dating this guy, And she says, "Hey, I'm going to take you to show you my mom," and took him to Best Buy. He's like, "Why are you bringing me to Best Buy?" You know, and I'm on this display. Oh, that's my mom. No, I never got to meet him. I think I scared him off. Um, but
What a great way. You should have come to the door, and they come into town, you come into the door and
oh, I mean, I think I never got to meet him, so it had to be that. But it was.
Well, I love this comment here from Jim Cody. From church choir to clown school to a zombie, got to love America. Great, terrific job as a zombie.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just I'm multi-talented, but apparently I play dead well. So I was a dead nurse on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was cool working with Rob Zombie. He was really nice. He was a really great guy.
So is that kind of and we've got some different questions over here in the chat room that I'll get to here in just a second. So did you find that's kind of your niche? I know you've done a lot of other roles, and we're going to show your reel here in just a little bit.
Okay.
But have you found that that's kind of what you enjoy the most, or?
As I've gotten older, because I was like late 30s to 40 years old when I did The Walking Dead and Zombieland. So I'm not as agile as I used to be. So I like doing the zombie work and stuff, but not as much because I did it so much, because you're talking about 16-hour work days. I don't even dress up for Halloween like I used to. I don't get as excited about it as I used to, but I actually prefer more dramatic roles, because that's the side that people don't always get to see of me. They always think of me as a jokester or a comedian. And I've done some comedic stuff like The Lumber Baron of Jasper County. That's a web series that I'm in. And that character was based on Ralph from Green Acres. And so, I had my baseball cap on backwards and I was a total redneck in that. And so some of my family's rednecks, so I just kind of hung out with them for a little bit. I've actually hung out with them my whole life, so it was just like, Cletus Junior, go put your shark up, So I got to really portray that, and I had a lot of fun. I have to say that was my ultimately favorite role I've ever done, is on The Lumber Baron in Jasper County. And it's a cute little series. They actually took the seasons and combined them into movies at some point. So you can find most of that on YouTube. And he did a little side thing called Ask the Baron. It was like a little side series. And I was Sam the dog trainer. So I got to come in and tell them how to train your dog. So that was, and I tried to do it in a way where, hey, Sam's on TV for the first time. So I would kind of try to stumble on my words a little bit, or slow down and take a breath, because I was like, and this is how you do it, because I mean, that's how a regular person would do if, especially somebody that's, down home country that's never been on, because you put a camera on my grandmother and she would just freeze. Hey, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Just talk, grandma, be yourself. But she never would do it.
And I know you post a lot. I'm pulled up on the screen here, your Facebook page. I know you post some of those different clips and stuff like that where people can look back and see like your role in the Lumber Baron and some of these others, correct?
Yes, and I like to show them that my versatility, that I'm not just a zombie, because I have been somewhat typecast in some, at times, and I don't mind that. But one of these days I'm going to play a vampire, and people's going to be truly amazed at that. The one time I was on Vampire Diaries, I wasn't a vampire, but I wanted to be. I was hoping that they would let me be a vampire, but they didn't. So.
It's interesting. My camera guy, Josh, he had a small part. He was the bartender in the Vampire Diaries.
Oh, cool.
Episodes. Yeah. Yeah. And then he took me down there to it's Covington, right?
Yes, Covington.
Yeah. Took me down there to Covington, and I was so amazed. That was such a fun place. I mean, that's what, the Hollywood of the South. We went to Covington and then over to Conyers, because I think
Yep.
Conyers is the New Orleans, right?
Yep.
And yeah, it was so fun to go in and see, and I was really amazed at just how many movies and TV shows and films and stuff have been done down there in Covington.
Oh yeah, and also in Madison, the originals filmed in Madison, Georgia. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a spectacular place, especially at Christmas time. But it's a really neat little town. As a matter of fact, I'd stopped off there on one of my drives and was just walking around town enjoying it, and all of a sudden I see these signs and I'm like, oh my God, they're filming here. And I found the cameras. I was like, and it was the originals, and I was just like, oh my God, I know people on this show. And I'm like looking around to see if I know any of the ADs or the crew or any of the cast, and that particular scene didn't have anybody in it that I knew. And I was like, well, dang. Because I was like, oh, well, I was going to say hello, but I did hang out for a little bit because I was trying to see if there's anybody that I knew that was there. But I was just like, leave it to me. Just meandering around, just because I take these little city walks, and I'm just doing a city walk, just chilling out, taking pictures of the buildings and all the, because I like old buildings. And all of a sudden they're filming the originals. And I'm like, well, geez, that's awesome. Leave it to me to find it.
Right.
But there's a lot of places that's been used in Georgia that, like Sonoya for The Walking Dead, but season 1 was filmed downtown. They shut off 4 city blocks to do the tank scene and all that. And we had to walk 2 blocks away in our zombie attire. We couldn't tell anybody that what we were doing, and we couldn't take pictures with anybody. We couldn't allow it. And so, we're walking. This is another story. I've probably told this about a zillion times and a lot this past few weeks, but these old guys are in the park and they're playing checkers. and Larry Malin used to love telling this one because he got a kick out of this. But they're playing, and all of a sudden here comes all these zombies walking through, and they're just like their jaws are hitting the table almost, and it's just like a floating piece. It's just in midair. It doesn't even move. The guy probably even lost at that point because he probably put it on the wrong spot. He forgot what he was going to do, but it was kind of funny watching people's faces. And there was one lady. They had closed down this one street, and there was this place called, I think it was called Oh My Nappy Hair or something, hair salon or something. And this lady, she's on her cell phone. She's just bopping around, she comes around the corner and, and there's all these zombies down, and all of a sudden she goes,
See, they should have had cameras rolling on the people to get these genuine reactions and then gone back and asked if they could, use their likeness or whatever. But how cool would that have been to see those genuine reactions?
Well, I scared one lady. We were filming in Fairburn. It was the very first day using zombies. It was first day filming on The Walking Dead with zombies, right? And that's when little girl zombie got shot by Rick Grimes, which is an amazing shot. And seeing it up close and personal was really awesome. And we kind of got in trouble with Frank Darabont because we were peeking out the window watching it. Cut. We can see the zombies. So it was like, oops. But there was this time that when we were chasing Rick back to his car from the convenience store. Well, they had, man, I want to tell you what, they had it was a 4-way, and I might have been a caution light. I can't remember, maybe a red light, but they had this 18-wheeler up on its side and it was like this huge wreck, man. And so in between takes, they would let the traffic flow. But, when they would close the road down or whatever. And so I'm up on the road, and there's this lady, and in the South, when you see a wreck, you're going to call everybody, you're going to tell them there's this bad accident. Oh my God, girl, let me tell you, there's an 18-wheeler on its side. And you got to tell them every detail of this wreck, because it's that bad. You got to let everybody know, your brother, your sister, So this lady, she's on the phone, she's just talking. And I'm like, fairly close to her. So I broke down in my zombie and I started headed toward her. She jumped from the driver's seat to the passenger seat and was reaching over trying to lock the door. Oh my God.
She probably thought you'd escaped from the wreck. She's like, she's hit her head.
But anyway, I was trying to stay in character, but I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I stopped. And the other two that was with me, I looked behind and they had started too. And then we said, we can't do this to her no more. She's going to have a heart attack. But anyway, it was pretty cool. But I didn't mean to get off on that. I just thought about it and had to tell you guys. But
well, speaking of that, talking about, being in makeup and character, Krista asked, how long does that makeup take?
Depending on how they're making you up for the day, for me personally, it was 1.5 hours to 2 hours. But first you go to wardrobe, you get you get in your clothes, and then you come and you go and you sit in the makeup chair. And I'm an artist, so I like having a mirror in front of me because I like to watch what they're doing because I feel like I'm the canvas.
Yep.
And they're putting their artwork on me. And so that was always very intriguing to me because as I'm watching them put a bite mark right here or something here, then I'm trying to figure out how am I going to play that to the camera for the day. So it was really neat. But and then after you got your makeup on, because they after you got the prosthetics and everything, then you'd go get your eye contacts in, and they were full on scleros, which were not the most comfortable eye contacts. And then you waited until it was time for them to bring you on up to set. But it was very long days. But then after you were done, it took maybe 45 minutes to an hour to get it off of you. And I called that part zombie spa because they would give you a hot towel to get it all kind of really, softened up and everything, get ready to start peeling off. And they would have to take a paintbrush with alcohol and just slowly pull it back because you don't want to tear your skin.
Yeah.
It can damage your skin. A lot of people don't realize that. So people out there that tries things for Halloween or other things, be very careful taking it off because, you don't want to mess your skin up because you could really damage it. So, it was very long days, but they would not let us leave with the makeup on. But Zombieland, the makeup process was 2 hours and 2 makeup artists, and they hand painted each tooth. And you had blood all over you and stuff. And it was I think it took me a few days to get all the blood out of my ears, and scraped off everything I scraped off my teeth. And when I was on Halloween 2, they did a scar across my face, and then they actually took a water hose of blood and doused us in the pit because there was a pit of us dead nurses and stuff. And she had to crawl. She fell on top of us and crawled out when she was trying to get away from Tyler Maine's Michael Myers, and which Tyler's awesome. But that blood just a few days later you're like, oh, there's a little bit here. Yep. You just find prosthetics rolled up in your hair or whatever for days later. But it was neat though. Getting to do stuff like that, it was cool watching it happen.
Oh, I'm sure. I can remember one of my fondest memories as a kid because I love horror movies. Loved them from when I was a kid. My favorite part was always the makeup, especially when you're talking about these 80s B horror movies. Those were the ones I loved. And, like Dead Alive and some of those, like how bloody, how gory can you get? And I used to, my brother and I, whenever we would go with my mom to the grocery store, we'd always go to the Piggly Wiggly and read the Fangora magazines. Those were my favorites to look at how they did all of the art. We would either look at those or like the Guitar Edge hair metal magazines. And I used to want to always kind of study those and see how they did the special effects and the makeup and stuff, because it was always there's such an art to that.
There really is. And I found that out when I went to clown school and learned how to do my own makeup for that, because I was like, oh man, I've been doing this wrong all these years, so it was good getting a class like that. And I've actually, a lot of people don't understand to take powder, like baby powder or something, to like seal your makeup, because if you don't, it's going to get all cracky and it's just going to smear and all this kind of stuff. So once you've created that art on your face, taking something to kind of, like with our art, you seal your art. Well,
that's right.
You take like a powder and, and I put baby powder in a sock and I'm just like, but yeah, you do. You want to take the powder and then you take another like a little brush and just kind of brush away any or whatever. But that way, it your makeup lasts and it stays. Your art that you've created on yourself does. And a lot of people don't know to do that. But of course, when you're doing fresh blood, that's just, it's going to be there. You don't want to put any powder on that, but
right.
But it was neat to learn some stuff about special effects. And I've always done all my daughters. I did a lot of her makeup as a child for anything that she was doing Halloween. My mom, she worked for Publix and wanted to go as a Jersey cow. So, she had a little cowbell and she put a pillow in here and she had a cow suit, with the udders and stuff. And, had it come up with the little ears and stuff. And so I painted her face, Jersey cow, white and black, with the on spots and got her all made up for that. And I'd get up, she had to be at work like 5:30 in the morning. And I'd get up and go over there real early and get her makeup for her done. And she had the best time doing that, But I would do it every year anytime she wanted to do it, I'd go and I'd do her makeup for her, So I always had fun. I'm surprised I didn't get into special effects and makeup and stuff, but I never have. So
yeah. Well, how about we show your reel to, like you said, you talk about the diversity and some of the different roles that you've done. So give me 1 second here and I'm going to get that queued up.
All right.
And let's see here.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. Blow it up here. There we go.
Can I use food stamps to buy a lottery ticket?
No, ma'am.
You mean the government won't pay for my lottery tickets?
Not the winning ones.
Here, I was hoping for some change.
This is goodbye, Jacob. You've lost both of your parents now. Losing me, that was your fault. I leave here today. I am only going to have one son and one daughter. Goodbye, Jacob. You're late.
I know. Sorry.
This is the second time this week, Cassandra.
I'm sorry. I've had a lot going on at school this week.
What would you have going on at school? I'll tell you what. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what. I've told you for 3 days I wanted you up in the attic cleaning. You have not been up there once.
It's dusty up there and hard for me to breathe.
Just another one of your piss poor excuses. Just because I'm your foster mother does not mean that you can come in here and piddle around. Now, I want you up in that attic, and I don't want you to come down until it's time for the library to close.
Fine.
We've been over this already, Jana. They're our neighbors, and it's the Christian thing to do.
So we're going. That's what. Get over it.
Micah, leave her alone. Chloe, do you mind?
Mom, why must I always be the referee?
Because you're the oldest. Yeah, real old.
And the smartest. Come on, Forbes. But no one else is going down there?
Or gift for us. All right, guys. I'll be right here. I don't want to take a chance of getting stuck in the mud.
Great.
Will you please behave?
Fine.
Chloe, watch your brother and your sister.
Okay.
Mind your manners.
I knew all the major players, and the feds knew that.
Get out of the car! Get out of the
Put your hands where I can see 'em. Put your hands where I can see 'em. What do you have in your pockets, huh? You got something in your pockets? You have the right to remain silent.
So they tried to use my most precious things against me to talk. The two of you.
It's them or him.
They wanted me to give up.
Sorry about that. I had I had my mic muted, and I was also going through and removing bots from the chat here.
Okay. The bots are gone.
The bots are gone now. Got them blocked. The triple X sites that pop up there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I started showing your thing, and in the chat over here, all of a sudden, 3 triple X sites showed up. So,
Oh my. Okay.
right?
The shower
So-
curtain.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So that's a and I'm trying to get this stopped here. There we go. What a great reel, and like Janet said, such diverse roles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very talented. Jim Cody says, do you have a favorite scene or movie that you were in?
Well, once again, it does kind of go back to the whole, Lumber Baron, Jasper County. I do love that. But as far as my favorite movie that I've been in, The Lost Day, which it showed up there as chronology. That was the working title of it. I got to work with some really awesome people on that. Danny Trejo was in it. And William Baldwin and John James. He was like Jeff Kobe on the original Dynasty. I think I used to have him hanging in my locker, I mean, it was just like, okay, cool. But, I really enjoyed talking to him. He was, out of those 3, I think he was my favorite talking to. But that scene in the jail where I'm talking to my son was like 3 pages of lines. And, it was intense, but it was one of my favorite scenes that I've done that I enjoyed. There was another scene like in This Old Machine with Kevin Sorbo that I did. And there was a scene that says, let's see, what it was. There was a line in it that was really cool. Now the movie, it didn't turn out as well as I wanted it to, but anyway, my scene was cool. Every whisper is a scream in this town. That was the line in it. That was one of my lines in it. And I was just like, oh, that's my favorite. And I think that in the trailer. Yeah. But I've enjoyed working pretty much on everything I've ever worked on. But as far as favorite scenes, I think the one with in the Lost Day, which is on Tubi, I think still right now.
Okay.
But I don't know. I just enjoy acting, so I don't know if I answered that good enough.
That's a tough question. That's like asking a paranormal investigator their favorite location or their favorite piece of evidence. It's tough. So if folks want to follow along, and we do have different links in the show notes there, but what's the best way for folks to follow along with what you're doing and what you've done in the past?
I think either going, of course, to IMDb or Actors Access. Um, I've got a website called professionalzombie.com, but I have not updated it in a very long time. Um, when Windows changed over to 10, all of a sudden my software didn't work for my web building software didn't work. So I was just like, I don't want to go buy another one, so I haven't updated it in a while, and I will soon though at some point. But Facebook is really, Facebook and Instagram are the two social sites that I'm on the most. So those are the best ways to really keep up with me. And I always try to share old stuff at times. That way people can see some of the older stuff I've done, and I try to always post about some new stuff. Like there's the movie Zero that I just filmed up in Pennsylvania earlier this year. It's a zombie movie, but Jim Kurt that played on Dawn of the Dead, he was a very well-known zombie on there. And myself, we play husband and wife in it. And our son is like the lead in the movie, but we're not zombies.
Oh,
So I thought that was a very clever twist. And there's a movie I filmed a couple years ago up in Maryland, and it was called KOA, Killed on Arrival, and it's not out yet either. I think it might be out in the spring.
okay.
And I play Meemaw, and I've got a gray wig on, and they've got my makeup all exaggerated and stuff as an old lady, and that was kind of fun to work on. I got to cackle in that one, so that was good. And my cackle's awesome. but anyway, yeah. So I did a documentary up in Pennsylvania this year, and I do TV commercials. I was part of the mental health campaign for Alabama, the stigma campaign over there, and because words hurt. And so I'm glad. I'm actually pretty proud of being a part of that to help other people realize that, sometimes words can hurt other people, and you need to watch what you say sometimes. But yeah, best way to find me, Instagram, Red Sonya Thompson, and on Facebook. And I'm pretty accessible. You can send me messages if you have questions or anything like that. So
Yeah, and this is like I said, I'm going to pull it back up again. So this is your official fan page, correct?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So look up Sonya Thompson. Look for the Walking Dead banner there, and she definitely posts some great stuff on there. I know I've enjoyed your posts that you've done as far as some of your throwbacks and stuff. Getting to see some of your clips and all of that. And I got to agree, the Lumber Baron is really funny. I ended up watching that. It was really cool.
Sweet. That's awesome. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, absolutely. And same with the Instagram page and stuff. So, but let's talk a few minutes about the paranormal. We're a paranormal
Ooh.
show here, and you and I met there, like I said, at the Deep South Paracon. I know we've got a lot of folks here from the Deep South Paracon over here. Michelle and the Foxes and Stan Fikes. We got a lot of them over here in the chat room. So what is your background in the paranormal? Have you had any experiences? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I've had a lot of experiences over the years. I'm somewhat of an empath, and I can feel energies, and I don't know, I get those feelings, and I know they're there, and sometimes I can even I feel like I can communicate with them at times. I just know things. But when we were down at the Paracon, you didn't get to do the investigation, but man, I was walking around, and it was just like, wow, and I was using the little machine that has the little meter thing on. It's the first time I've ever done that, so, and I almost chickened out of the investigation, just so you guys know. I'm sorry, everybody, but I was just like, I don't know that I want to be in here. I don't, but then I got very intrigued when we went upstairs for the first time before we did the investigation. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, absolutely. I got this. And I had the best night of the life. I mean, I so enjoyed it. So if you ever needed somebody to investigate with you, I think I want to do it. But I'm not spending the night not doing it.
See, I think we need to do a Ghost Biker episode that features Sonya in a cool location, maybe somewhere down in Georgia or somewhere, we'll film an investigation. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think it'd be really awesome. I think I would enjoy that because I've been in several haunted places down here. I've got several friends that are investigators and stuff. But when we were investigating that library down there in Alabama, I tell you what, I was walking around with a meter and I'm like, dude, I feel something. It's right here, but this meter's not going off. But I talked to a friend of mine that does paranormal investigation. She says, Sonya, you're so powerful because you've got, your energy's out here. So when you were doing it, the ghost, the spirit couldn't get to the box to make it go off because your energy's just blocking it because you're so protected and, all this. So there wasn't enough power for the spirit to get through to it. So I gave it to somebody else to use, but Jeremy's wife and I, we had this little communicator thing on her phone where words would come up. And oh my God, we didn't want to leave the second story because we were communicating with so many different spirits. And my theory is that there might have been a portal there, but there were so many items in that museum. I think there were some attachments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people were attached to these items. And we were getting all sorts of names like Alexander and Sebastian. And sometimes I would ask, hey, who are we talking to now?
Mm-hmm.
And a different name would come up. And then we got downstairs and outside and we tried to communicate with a little girl ghost. And I thought maybe, showing her a picture of my granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
and, would be kind of a cool thing. And so I did. I said, how old are you? I've got a granddaughter. She'll be 3 in January. How, isn't she pretty,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got a pretty dress. But unfortunately, I don't get to see her. She lives in the Netherlands and it makes me sad. And I think the word whelp came up or something like that, weeping is what came up. And I was like, oh my gosh, and we got a couple little girls' names that came up with it. I think one was Chloe or something. But I thought that was so interesting. And I was taking a picture with my camera and the word smile came up, like smile, you're on camera. And before I left, before we left the place, before I left, I spoke again and I wanted to thank everybody, all the spirits for allowing us to be there and ask them not to leave with anybody, especially me. And I told them they had to stay and I told them I was leaving and the word away came up. And which was really cool. And then I said, yes, I'm going away, but it's going to be okay. And I said to any of the children ghosts here or anybody else, if you see a light, walk toward it. It's okay. It's nothing to fear. And the word afraid came up. And then I said, well, your parents are waiting for you or your grandparents are all there waiting on you. There's nothing to be scared of. Just walk into the light and you'll see them again. They'll be happy to see you. Mm-hmm. And the word disjointment came up. And I was like, yes, you're disjoined right now, but you'll be rejoined if you go into the light. So I hope that I really feel in my heart that I helped some spirits cross over, and that made me feel good. And I think that's where I would be, it'd be, if I'm at an investigation and I'm able to help a spirit like that, that's who I am. I help people. And I feel like helping a spirit to cross over or to do something, like that is just, it's a gift that God has given me, and I don't know that I could always do that, but hey, I had a good feeling about that, and I really feel like I helped some, whether it was a ghost or an adult or whatever,
Right. Well, and I know too, you and I, we instantly connected, we were down there and so much fun chatting with you and getting to know you while we were down there. And I know that was one of the conversations we had because I didn't decide until really just before the investigation that I was going to go ahead and drive on back home. And, I know that you were talking and you were unsure whether you were going to do the investigation or not. And then I know afterwards, when we were texting and chatting back and forth, you had sent me some of the communication. And, first of all, investigating with Jeremy's wife, which he's the Cajun demonologist, correct?
Oh, yes. Yes, he is.
And so, what a great person to investigate with. And it just sounded like the experiences you guys had were really, really intelligent responses to the conversation, and then also really touching as well. And that's the type of interaction I really enjoy having when I do these investigations, or when they share their story, or when they share their experiences. When we can kind of get a little more insight into, what's going on their side. Those are the type of interactions I really enjoy having. And like you said, when you feel that you're having a true true conversation.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it tremendously. She and I even we exchanged numbers too. I'm like, this is so cool. I want to do this again with you sometime, so it was really neat. I was glad that I got to do that. But I have to admit, I have spent the night in a haunted location, like a haunted theater up in Illinois. And they had Robin Terry, he had renovated it. He made the top floor his living space with he and his wife, and then the front area was his office and her office. And then you walked through the theater and went to another space on that level, and they had created some bedrooms and some living space there, and a huge storage area for his Scooby-Doo van and stuff. And down in the basement, he had actually created a haunted house to raise money for St. Jude.
Very nice.
Hospital. So that was really cool. And so he had Larry and I out there for a few days. We were his guests, that we were signing autographs at the haunted house. And so I spent actually 2 nights in a haunted theater. And the final day, I set up I had this thing back then where I would set up my YouTube, and set up my camera and do YouTube videos, and I'd say, "Hey, Sonya here," and so I was just, I sat in the old theater part, and I had the camera set up, and I'm like, "Hey guys, Sonya here. I just spent 2 nights in a haunted theater. I can't believe I did it, but the hosts were great and the ghosts were even better." And, and so I did this little skit thing, and then I went up and I wanted to watch it to see if I needed to redo it. And as I was walking back, about the time I sat down, I heard a little girl's laugh. And that wasn't even, I had not even viewed it. This was in the room with me. And it was like, that's so cute. It was just like, and so I was like, oh my God, and so when he came, all of a sudden, like, I guess I filmed a couple more times, and all of a sudden he came into the theater with me, and I'm like, "Hey, I got a question for you. Is anything left on downstairs from the haunted house?" He's like, "No, we cut it off every night. There's nothing ever left on. We can even go down there. I can show you." And I'm like, no. And I told him what happened. He says, "Come with me." So we went to his storage area where his Scooby-Doo van is, and it's the original from Hanna-Barbera.
Yes.
And, yeah, it's really cool. I sat in it.
I like Robin.
Yeah. And so anyway, so we so he lets me listen to this investigation tape, the EVP type thing. And they had 3 investigators, and they caught a little girl on there, and you hear her saying, 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
She called the investigators. There's 3 of them. And so, yeah, and he let me hear some other stuff. And then we went down into the basement and stuff and walked about down there. But anyway, it was like, holy crap. I audibly heard.
So you heard the disembodied voice.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, but it was still pretty cool though. It was a neat experience. And, I think he's got another haunted place now that he lets people investigate some too.
I'm trying to think. It's there in Illinois as well, isn't it?
Yes. It's not far from the theater. It's
That's what I thought.
30 minutes. So
Dawn asked, and I can't remember because I feel like I remember seeing people post about it on Facebook. Dawn asks what part of Illinois. She says she's from Iowa, Illinois area.
Okay, well, I think it's Auburn. I want to say it's Auburn. So I think it's the Auburn Theater or something other. But it was really neat. I mean, they don't have as much of the theater part anymore. It's like he just kind of kept a small part of it, but it's still really cool though.
Just being in those locations, regardless of, I love it when they've got them restored kind of back to kind of the way they were. But even if they're not, just being in the locations it's just amazing to be inside there behind the scenes, being able to touch that history and be in those places. I mean, you just never know what you're going to experience whenever you're inside them.
Oh, I know. You don't. It is Auburn. It is Auburn, Illinois. And he's a owner of the Ashmore Estates. That's the other place.
That's it.
But the theater is the Haunted R Theater, is what he calls it. And but yeah, so that's where that's at. But that was a really cool. That was a really cool thing, I mean, really cool place to be. So you could probably give him a call sometime and see if he'll let you go up there and do an investigation. He let me drive the hearse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I needed to go to McDonald's or something. That's back when I was eating fast food still. I can't eat it anymore. It makes me sick. But I took the hearse to McDonald's. I drove it. Yeah.
Go through the drive-through.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be done. But I actually drove it like twice, I think. But he's like, yeah, the keys are there. If you want to take it, take it. Okay. All right.
See, he need to follow you in the Scooby-Doo van.
He wouldn't let me drive that one. He just let
I wonder why.
I don't know, Raggy. But yeah, so it was a good time up there. He's a great host, and the ghosts were even better. But I've had several experiences over the years with things.
Have you always been empathic that you know of from when you were young?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember having, I had like imaginary friends, but now I wonder if they were really imaginary. Like was it somebody out? Because when you're younger, you're more in tune with that, and I remember, loved ones that have passed. They come back. They visit me, sometimes in dreams. When my papa died when I was about 13 or 14, I remember waking up one night because I heard something, and he was fixing my TV. I saw him fixing my TV. I did my eyes and everything, and he was standing there. He was
like your current TV.
At the time, yeah, it was like, this has been like back in the 80s after he died. And my TV had fuzzed, it used to fuzz at night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it did for us older people. And so he was in there fixing my TV, but then he was gone, But I've had, I get visited sometimes like that. But I know when people are with me, my aunt just recently passed, and I had a couple of things happen.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. But it's just been, this year I've lost a lot of people. As a matter of fact, the Lone Bear in Jasper County, the lead in that, the blonde, Candace, Mabry, she passed a week before Larry did. And she was my acting coach and a very dear friend of mine. And so there's been, not to get all, downer. I'm just,
right.
I've had some of these people come to me in dreams.
Yeah.
But I've always had this gift. I've even been told that I'm psychic. But I only claim to be psychic on certain days. And so, but I've always been able to feel a spirit when I walked into a place, and it's just, they're there, and I've had to tell them to leave me alone too. I mean, it's like, just leave me alone, because sometimes you go into places and they just want to, they know that they
Mhm.
can feel them, and they want to try to get your attention. And but there's a haunted house down in Columbia, Alabama,
Okay.
and Columbia Manor is what it's called.
Okay.
And Todd owns that, and he turned it into a haunted house. But most people do not stay in there, like the workers and stuff, after a certain time. I don't think anybody spent the night in that one, but I
Mm.
did catch like the doctor tipping his hat at me because it was used like a hospital or something at one point.
Mhm.
Um, so, but I've seen some stuff like I thought somebody was smoking. I can't be around smoke, and I was like, man, why do they want to smoke in a crowd? It's like, don't do that. Just because you're outside doesn't mean that there's not people that, I mean, it's like, come on.
Right.
And so I started noticing that in that same area, it looked like the same repeated smoke.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like, okay, that's not somebody smoking, because I thought maybe it was a vape or something like that. But as the night proceeded to go on, I would look over there and it was like the same type of smoke. And so I started paying more attention to it. And it was the same area, same spot, and nobody had a vape. Nobody had a cigarette in that area. And so there's a lot of orbs and different things that's been caught down there. There's been doors open, there's been voices, there's been all sorts of stuff. They've actually had investigations down there and caught some stuff. It's been on some TV show or something. So
Okay.
but so cool. Yeah, I've had a lot of wonderful opportunities to experience stuff. I could probably keep rambling on about it, but I'll just be quiet now and see if there's any more questions.
No, I totally enjoy that. And I always wonder sometimes because we've had, we had a music video filmed at the jail, and that kind of stirred up activity because music is a big trigger item that's there at the jail, especially Christian music. And this was a popular Christian music artist that filmed there.
Okay.
And then we've had we did have some people acting out some skits there, and they were acting out the skits from some of our more infamous inmates or actual real inmates who were in there. And it kind of created, stimulated activity, as well as when we
Mhm.
had children there. So I wonder, have you ever been filming at a known active or haunted location, and anything that has happened seem to increase activity or make anything odd happen?
Oh yeah, this movie called Prosper that I was in, which one of the clips is on the acting reel there. And by the way, that's Blake Cooper from Maze Runner that played Chuck, that played my son in that, and Addie Miller that was little girl zombie from The Walking Dead. Um, anyway, that place it was like an old mill or something that had been turned into a house, and God, that there was some major activity going on in there. There was also, it freaked me the heck out. I didn't even like being in there. I was going to tell you, it was creepy as all get out. And they had a lot of things happening on set from being just us being in there. And then there's been some other, some other things too. I was trying to think of it was there, now it's gone. But Prosper was the biggest one though that grabbed a lot of activity. There was things that fell, moved, doors that opened, just our audio messed up. We had to redo all the audio on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a common thing. I know at our jail, and how frustrating when you're trying to film a movie and stuff doesn't record or audio
Uh-huh.
messes up. And
Yeah.
I always joke a lot of the time if I'm doing a presentation at a location, and like speaking at a Paracon, a lot of the time there will be technical difficulties, and so some of it's human error and some of it is unexplainable. But I
Mhm.
always joke and say, most of us are paranormal investigators, so we're not, we're used to having these sort of things happen. I wondered, was it kind of heightened because you guys were filming there, do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was. I mean, like I said, the audio was messed up. We had to go back and do ADR,
Mm.
So I wished we could have kept the original audio because everybody thought that I was actually getting on to the kids, because they were acting up. And so it doesn't, to me, sound as real as it did when we were doing it. And the other place I was at, when we filmed Halloween 2, we were at the old Dunwoody Medical Center that is closed down. And it was, oh my God, we were in the basement. The freaking morgue was in the basement. It had to be in the basement, right? So we're in the basement, and Mike Myers, Tyra Main, he's up on the floor above us, and it's like vibrating, boom, boom, and I'm down there, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like freaking out, and I know, and I'm feeling stuff, I'm feeling stuff around me, and every vibration, I'm feeling a spirit. I'm feeling, I felt like I was getting attacked from all these different angles, and I'm like, okay, I got all this blood on me, I got a scar across my face. They think I'm one of them, and but it was just there was some stuff that happened on that as well, that was really, it was just real creepy stuff. Yeah, there's been a few things that's few sets that's been a little creepy, doing some stuff on, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Get me out of here. I'm getting very anxious and nervous here and a little scared. I think I need to go home now, but yeah, Prosper, though, that was the biggest one that I think we got some really freaky stuff off of. And we had to redo the ADR too on the movie Lawa All Saints Eve.
Okay.
It was filmed up in Nashville and in Ashland City. And also at Reelfoot Lake. We did some filming there because it was based down in New Orleans. And so it was a voodoo-ish type movie and stuff. And we had to redo some audio on it too. So I often wonder if some of the property, which used to be Louise Mandrell's at one point. So we got to use her house for base camp and wardrobe and all that. She's so awesome. Just really wonderful person. I enjoy talking to her. But I have to wonder, hey, was there a battle in that area at one point, Civil War wise? Was there, I know there was like a cave there. It's like a old mine of some sort, maybe. So there had to have been something that happened there at some point, I feel, because there was a few times that was creepy on that. But when we were at Reelfoot Lake, we took the boat out to one of the little islands and stuff that had some Indian mounds on it. And this was something that was really cool that happened there. There were all these dragonflies, the most abundance of dragonflies I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And they were just flying all around, And I read later that some Native Americans in the culture, it talks about dragonflies being the protectors of their souls, or it's just, it was something to do with that. So that was kind of neat for that, we were there, but they had us like walking across the Indian Mountain. I didn't feel cool about that. But we do that all the time. We just don't know it.
Yeah.
There's going to be times you're doing that and you just don't know that you're doing it anyway. But I felt kind of weird about doing that. I felt like I was disrespecting.
It's different when you know.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy, but that was a pretty good movie too. But there's a lot of audio that we had to redo on that one. So, but it's a good movie. It's on Amazon. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think of any others, and I know there's more, but those are the ones that stand out more than anything.
Well, I love the story there about the dragonflies because I'm a spiritual person in the sense that, I do believe we get messages and such from beyond the grave. And, hearing those sort of things, it's always cool to look when something happens to really just kind of stop and look, what am I doing? What's going on? What am I thinking about? When you start seeing all this different stuff. And I love that story about the dragonflies because it makes sense to me, especially, if you all were there on the Indian burial grounds. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense.
It made it, I had to like look it up later, because we didn't have Wi-Fi out there. I mean, even when we got to the the cabins that we were staying in, we didn't have cell service, so I had to wait about looking it up. So I looked it up later, and I saw all this cool stuff, related to the dragonfly and all these spiritual meanings and stuff that it could stand for. So that it was really beautiful, though. It was the most dragonflies I've ever seen.
Wow.
And a few of them just come right up to me,
Mhm.
and I just felt like it was like a welcoming, like, hey, how you doing? I know
Mhm.
you're an empath, it's like, let me whisper in your ear. Okay, I've got enough of that. All right, but it was beautiful, though. It was really neat. I thought about going back there again at some time, but the mosquitoes were huge, and I didn't like the mosquitoes. So no, I was not confused between the mosquitoes and the dragonflies. But,
We do have huge mosquitoes up here.
you do, especially at Reelfoot Lake.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy all in itself, because it's got all those cypress trees and stuff, up there. But I mean, that was created by that was like the largest earthquake, I think, that was registered in this, in the southern region.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's how that lake was created, which I was fascinated by that as well.
Mhm.
I when I'm going somewhere, I always try to kind of look up the history a
Mhm.
little bit about it and try to, hey, where do I want to go? What do I want to go check out? So
Mhm.
it's so that was something I found out about Reelfoot Lake before I went, and I was like, man, this is exciting.
Always be able to utilize that time to see it, take in the sights and stuff.
I try to, but sometimes I don't always get to if I'm real busy at a show or filming. But luckily up there, I was staying in Ashland City. They had us in a condo up there, so I had some downtown time, but not, a lot. But we go out to eat some. But most of the time, I was just so tired. I just wanted to go back to the condo and rest and get, study my lines and get ready for the next day, because I had a co-starring role in that. So I wanted to make sure that I was on mark and not tired for the shoot. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just gonna check the comments here. And again, if anyone has any last minute questions, we're coming up on the end of the show here. Gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. Not take all of Sonia's time tonight, but if you do have any questions, go ahead and put those here in the comments. Dawn says, and I remember meeting Dawn down at the Deep South Paracon, and she's the one that asked about Illinois. And she says, met you all at the convention here. I've been going around towns here in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida looking for neat places to check out. So definitely a lot of great places in the Deep South. If you make your way on up to Tennessee, a lot of great places up here too. So yeah, definitely remember meeting you, Dawn, and appreciate you always tuning into the show and being so supportive. That really means a lot. And Stan is talking about one of the places you were mentioned, the is it Pellagra? I may be saying that wrong. Pellagra Hospital.
Yeah, I
So,
think that's right.
yeah, so they investigated that, and that Columbia Manor is a great place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then let's see. Whoops. Sorry, I hit. Janet says, thank you, Sonya, for speaking with us tonight. You're so interesting.
Oh,
And
thank you. Thank you for listening.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Addie says, interesting enough, there are no rocks in the county that real food is in unless a human has brought them in there, because it's just sand, because it's on the fault. Well, that makes sense. There's because there's a big fault line that runs right through there, and right through it comes kind of down from northeast Tennessee all the way through there. So wow, that is interesting. So like I said, anyone has any last minute questions, please feel free to put those in. Why don't you go ahead, Sonya, again, and tell us where people can watch your stuff, how the best way to find you, and anything cool that you've got coming up as far as appearance wise, where people can meet you in person. I know it's the end of the year, but I don't know if you've got some stuff going on coming up 2023 already.
Yeah, well, I've got a few things. Just well, this weekend is the season finale of the very last episode of The Walking Dead. Sonoya and surrounding areas, it's going to be freaking packed out. I'm just going to tell you that. Even Covington is having, because some things were filmed in Covington. Even Covington is having some fun finale parties and stuff. Down the viewing party I'm going to be at is going to be, I think, at 13 Stories Haunted House in Noonan, Georgia. And the charity down there is the Children of Fallen Soldiers Foundation. And so that's what we'll be raising money for while we're down there. And it's free. It's a free place to go watch the last season finale. And I'll be down there signing autographs. And there's a calendar called A Walk to Remember that also benefits that foundation. And the cool thing is not only am I in it, I'm like January, and there's these QR codes right here, and you scan those in and you can watch the episode that the scene that I was in. So any of the locations that are shown, it has like a QR code and shows the episode that location was used in, or that person that is featured on there is used. And we'll be signing these. And while we're down there, I like to be part of things that are raising money for things and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then December 3rd, I'm going to be in Clayton, Georgia at Currahee Brewery. It's I think they've got their parade that day at 2:00. And it's a little art Christmas type fair type thing that they're doing at the brewery up there. And I'm going to be signing autographs alongside of Billy Redden. He was the banjo boy on Deliverance. Nice. And so he's going to be on hand. So if you would like to meet him and get him to sign something, come on by there. I think it's from like 3 until 8 that day. And so those are, I think, my final 2 appearances this year. And I'll also have some photos on hand that are matted by my best friend that died 4 months ago, Tina Tasso. She was a phenomenal person, and all the money that's raised from those photos that she took will go back to St. Jude's. I think that's a good place for the money to go. So in honor of her.
That's wonderful.
So I'll have those with me. So yeah, to find me, Facebook, Instagram, Red Sonya Thompson. That's my nickname, Red Sonya. And you can always go to IMDb. You can go to Actors Access. I did have a Twitter, but I got tired of it, and I just said the heck with it.
Same.
Yeah, I like Instagram and I like Facebook, but I like Instagram better than any of them. I really, really enjoy Instagram. I'm not even in the TikTok that much. I tried it, and some of those others, I'm just like, no. So those are my 2 that I'm on. But really, that's, my website's professionalzombie.com, and it's not been updated once again. I will get to it at some point. I may have to get friends to help me with it.
I know a web designer. No,
I took web design at UGA, a few years ago, but I'm just like, I don't know about that. I think I don't know. But anyway.
I totally understand. It's hard keeping all the socials and keeping everything. And when you're as busy, I know you do a lot of different events and stuff throughout the year. And so when you're that busy, it's really hard to kind of keep everything updated and everything. So definitely guys, check it out. Check out the pages. Go back to the show notes here. We do have some here in the comments, but if you go back to the show notes, I've got all the links to Sonya's Instagram, her website, and also her Facebook page there. Thank you guys again. And I just want to make sure I mentioned Michael Culp Jr. because I know he met us both down there at the Deep South Paracon. So thank you coming up and saying hi to us at the events, and then also for continuing to follow afterwards. That really means a lot, and really appreciate. We wouldn't have a great show if it wasn't for you guys asking questions and commenting over here and sharing everything out. So we definitely appreciate that. Nancy says, thank you for supporting the children. And Jim Cody says, excellent interview. Happy Thanksgiving to all. So yeah, we hope that you guys do have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Since it's a Thursday night next week, we will not be having a live show next week, but we've got a great December lined up when we come back. Going into the first part of December, I'm going to have David Childers. He's going to be my next guest, and you guys may know him. He's been on a lot of different paranormal, or been featured on a lot of different paranormal television shows, travels all over the country. He always has an event going on, so super excited to talk to him and hear some of his stories on the next live date, which, let me check my calendar because the year's getting away from me, just to make sure what that date is. That's going to be on December 1st. So we've also got a great line of people throughout December that will be posting those on the site as it comes up to. And then also check out the website for any Ghost Biker apparel, Ghost Biker Christmas presents. Got all that on there, and then different events that's coming up here at the historic Scott County Jail. So so again, thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Sonya, for taking the time to
Thank you for having me on the show. I mean, this has been great. I enjoyed it.
Good, absolutely. So so until next time I see you guys, hope you have a blessed Thanksgiving, and we will see you on December 1st. Take care.